In this video, I want to share with you some of my best marketing strategies for content creators. Things that are working right now to help you as a content creator be seen and be heard, and things that I've learned after being a content creator and a marketer for over 10 years now. And it all starts with lining up 3 important elements, which will either set you up for success or doom you to failure before you even get started. So let me show you how it's done, starting with the very first thing that you need to nail down. You see, as a content creator, the single most important element to your success isn't the content that you create, but rather the people that you create it for. And this is why the very first thing you need to do is pick your people. You see, the very first step to becoming a successful content creator, or to becoming a better content creator if you're already in this career, well, it's really about identifying and selecting the kind of people that you most want to create that content for. And this is where a lot of people just go so wrong, because most of the advice that's out there for creators is all about niching down by picking a topic or an industry, rather than the people it's for. This is why to really succeed, you need to dig a little deeper. You need to take that next step to find out and to uncover more about the people you seek to serve. For example, let's say that you're going to be creating content around cooking, and let's say that your topic of choice is healthy vegetarian options. Well, congrats, you've already narrowed it down one step by appealing to vegetarians, but there's still a whole lot more you can do. For example, are the cooking tips and the recipes and the meals that you're going to suggest more geared towards fast and easy and simple meals for busy people on the go, or professionals, or parents with not a lot of time? Or are they more formal and decadent and take hours to prepare but look and taste absolutely amazing? Or another example, let's say you're creating content about finance and investing. Well, are you creating it for someone who's fresh out of school and just loaded with student loan debt, who's trying to pay it down and possibly save up to one day, potentially, maybe, buy a house? Or are you appealing to someone who's about to retire and is more concerned with preserving their nest egg and making sure that they're not going to run out of money too soon? You see, these are important questions to answer because they're going to save you a ton of time and money and energy and headache by not creating the wrong kind of content for the wrong people. You know, the kind of people that never engage, never comment, never subscribe, never click the like button. You know, the like button. So once you've got that done, it's time to move on to the next thing, which is to pick your points. Essentially, now that you've got your people dialed in, it's time to figure out what kind of things you want to help them with in regards to your area of expertise or your area of interest. In other words, what ideas, what stories, what information, what how-to or tutorial content are you going to create to help them? You see, one of the biggest secrets to being a successful content creator has to do with creating content that's so good, so valuable, that people can't help but to keep coming back and re-watching and rereading or re-listening and sharing and telling everyone they know about just how great your stuff really is. And yes, this does include entertainment style content. I mean, we could all use a little break now and then. And of course, the only way to do that is to work on creating content that people actually want to consume. Fortunately, this is where a little good old-fashioned market research goes a really, really long way. So look at what other creators in your space are doing. Search Google and YouTube for what topics, trends, keywords, and ideas seem to be getting the most views. And if you can, talk to your audience. Ask them what kind of content they enjoy, what they need help with, what problems they're trying to overcome, and what kind of content you can create for them. A few minutes of some basic market research here will pay off for days, weeks, months, maybe even years to come. Once that's done and you know who your people are, you know what your points are and what kind of content you're going to create, the next step is to pick your platform. Now, first things first, when I'm talking about platform, what I'm talking about here is what distribution channel, what publishing medium are you going to use to get your content in front of your audience? Now, the odds are good that seeing as you're here watching this video now, you probably already have some kind of platform in mind. It's probably a platform that you enjoy yourself, one that you've thought about creating content on for a while, and one that you regularly engage with. So while the options are pretty much endless, the big players in this space right now, especially for content creators that want to monetize and essentially make a living by doing this, are none other than TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. None is necessarily better than any other, but there are some pros and cons to each one. First is YouTube, which is by far the most established, both in regards to their overall audience, but as well as in their monetization. It's basically a tried and true method to becoming a full-time content creator. And yes, while it is hard and while it is competitive, it can still very much be done today. Seriously, YouTube is not going away anytime soon. YouTube also has the benefit of delivering more longer form content, which means you've got a greater opportunity to build rapport and establish a relationship with your audience, rather than say through 15-second or 30-second or even 60-second video clips like you have with other networks. Next is Instagram, and Instagram is still very real and a very viable strategy and platform for creators to monetize and essentially earn a living by creating. As well, their recent switch and their recent push, at least, towards more video content shows their desire and their willingness to try to stay as relevant and current as possible, especially with new competitors coming in the space, TikTok. But more on that in just a second. TikTok. So if your audience is on Instagram and you're still happy to keep creating content for the platform, then by all means, go for it. Next, we have TikTok. No longer the new kid on the block, TikTok continues to be growing faster than ever before. Now, their monetization strategy isn't as well established as Instagram and nowhere near as established as YouTube, but there's still a massive opportunity to build up a pretty good following there and monetize it later, or start taking advantage of some of the other opportunities that are continuing to surface basically right now. You see, that's the thing with being a content creator, is things are always changing. New strategies evolve and develop, and you never really know what's going to happen next, which is again the importance of really starting with your people and starting with your points, making sure you're creating the right things for the right people. And with TikTok, there's a massive opportunity to build up a really large following and do it very quickly just by the way that their algorithm works and the fact that it does reward content based on how people are interacting and engaging with it. But again, like I've said before, and like it warrants saying again, you need to go where your people are. And here's a bit of a trick. There's no reason that you can't create a shorter form vertical video content and then use it on TikTok, use it as an Instagram reel, as well as upload it as a YouTube short. It's kind of like killing 3 birds with 1 stone. What a terrible analogy. Poor birds. But with all that said, the next question is, how can you set yourself up for long-term success as a content creator? And the answer there is all about nailing what I call the golden content ratio. You see, there's this thing in mathematics known as the golden ratio. It's also represented by the Greek symbol phi. And without getting too nerdy about it, you can basically find this ratio everywhere, from nature to architecture to painting and music. And when it shows up, it tends to create an organic, balanced, and aesthetically pleasing composition, which is just fancy talk for saying that we like things that look like they fit the golden ratio. Now, when it comes to creating content and becoming a full-time content creator, we have what I call the golden content ratio. And this is all about finding the right ratio, or the balance between 2 different, often competing kinds of content. Trending content is any kind of content that seems to be based on something happening right now, some kind of trend or fad or current event. This content is important to create as it typically gets a really short-term hit of more views and more likes and more comments and more shares and more engagement, as basically everybody's talking about it. And the beauty of creating trending content is that, well, the topics are pretty easy to find. All you really need to do is check out the trending sections of sites like YouTube and Twitter, or see whatever's getting the most views on Instagram or TikTok. Those are typically trends. The problem with this approach, however, is that it's typically short-lived. And this is why, if you really want to succeed long-term as a content creator, you also need to buffer yourself and buffer your content by creating more long-term and more evergreen style content. Evergreen content is essentially anything that's going to be just as relevant 1 week, 1 month, maybe even 1 year, or 5 years, maybe even 10 years from now. Actually, 10 years is a long time. For example, I have a couple videos on my YouTube channel from 4 and 5 years ago that continue to bring in more views, more comments, and more subscribers each and every single day. And this is where the golden content ratio comes in, finding the right mix between trending and evergreen content for you to make as a creator. Now, it's almost impossible for me to predict what the right mix for you will be in the end, but here's some great guidelines to start with. The starting point for the golden content ratio is a 2-to-1 ratio between trending and evergreen content. Over time, as your content catches on and you start to realize what kind of content does better and what does not so well, you can shift this ratio, or you can do what many other successful content creators are doing and just leave it like this. For example, Graham Stephan, one of the biggest and most successful finance YouTubers out there, still appears to follow a 2-to-1 ratio of current and trending topics to evergreen content. So the ratio works, and works well. Of course, if you're really serious about becoming a full-time content creator and building a really profitable and fulfilling career around this amazing industry, then you are going to want to master the marketing tips and strategies that I share in this video. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video. Because by better understanding your customer, it means that you're better able to position your business or your offer as the main, the only, the core solution to their problems, making your business